Hey guys, I'm Andrew Henderson from Nomad Capitalist, nomadcapitalist.com, here at the W Hotel in Istanbul in the lovely Wow Suite. Not a typical hotel that I would stay at, but have really liked the people here at the W in Istanbul and would recommend it. So the reason I'm here and the reason I'm in this room, the reason I'm in Istanbul this weekend is kind of a personal story that I wanted to talk about because I think it's germane to what we do at Nomad Capitalist. I think a lot of people mistakenly focus on information gathering, and somehow the information gathering never quite gets them across the finish line. But for me, what I've been playing with recently is the idea that a lot of the places that I like to invest, open bank accounts, etc., get passports in, get residences in. Those are not places where I want to live. I've been increasingly feeling, both on a physical and an emotional level, a need for big cities, connected cities, places with lots of things to do, places where I can pop in, get my hot chocolate, get my tea, do shopping, really do whatever you want. And while I love the Tbilisis, the Yerevans, so many other places around the world, the Phnom Penhs, I've been feeling increasingly anxious, to be honest, if I spend too much time in those places. I think that what's important for people who want to live this lifestyle, the nomad capitalist, is to truly understand, not just on a financial level, not just on a flag planting level, not just on a business level, but on a personal, emotional, body level, what it is that serves you. I was the person who grew up, I always wanted to live in New York or London, that later became Hong Kong. And then I started to slow down a little bit. And the reality is, do I want to live in New York City now? I wouldn't, US visa issues aside. Do I want to live in Hong Kong? That might be a bit much, going there and to Macau for my birthday, but it might be too much for me to live there. But on the other end of the spectrum, I love going to Yerevan in Armenia, for example, but the lack of connectivity, the lack of all the stores, there's not a Starbucks. They're the only ones who make a good hot chocolate, in my opinion. It eventually kind of makes me go nuts. And I think that what I've been talking to people who are colleagues of mine, who are friends, the people whom I work through this material on and with, we've been talking a lot about how there are all these notions of what a nomad is supposed to be. And now, as I've been saying for a long time, you have so many different kinds of nomads. You've got an increasing nomad populace that you're seeing different options of a way to live as a nomad, but certain ones push through more than others. So if you go on Instagram, for example, you'll see all the people who are just rushing around the world, trying to go to these remote destinations, trying to get the best picture, not really trying to connect, not really trying to live there. They're basically living a nonstop tourist life. I've been there, not necessarily as a nonstop tourist, but as a nonstop perpetual traveler. And I can tell you that for me, it was fun for a while, but that fun has worn off. For you, it might take doing that for a while to get to the point that I'm at now, or you might want to jump immediately to where I am now, where you have a couple of homes, you travel occasionally, and you have strong bases and roots. And I think that a lot of people that I've been speaking to recently who are looking for help have gotten caught up in the idea that you've always got to be in the go. There has to be a certain element of glamour to it. And while I think that for the average person there is glamour for this lifestyle, if you don't do it to the way that you want to live, I can tell you that you may end up a little bit sad, a little bit depressed. I've been talking to people recently who have been trying to live someone else's version of their nomad capitalist lifestyle, and it's been depressing them because they're not getting what they want. You may or may not want the bustling big cities. You may want to go live on a lake somewhere, or in a forest, or in a small city. You may not need the global connectivity because maybe you only bounce between your two homes once a year and it doesn't matter. Maybe you're more like me and you want that global connectivity. You just want to feel the sense of options there. But whatever it is that you're going to do, I think that your nomad capitalist lifestyle has to be based around you. It can't be based around what everyone on Instagram is doing. It can't be based on what the nomad thought leaders are doing. And that's been something that I've mentioned for a long time, is that, you've got all these people who basically want to just go from following one system to following another. The people who go and live in Chiang Mai, for example, in Thailand, the people who go and live in Bali, the people who, I quit my 9 to 5. And I respect that, and I respect their bravery, but I also know that there's kind of become, for some people, this kind of insular culture where everyone just tries to replicate that. They just try and rush to say, hey, I quit the 9 to 5, because that's the cool thing to say, whether it serves them or not, to go and live in Ubud or in Chiang Mai or in Barcelona, whether that's what they really want, but because they're afraid, perhaps, of going out and doing what they really want, because there's not as much of a support system doing what they really want. I can tell you that there's not as much of a support system, living the way that I live, but I have taken steps to build that support system and to find people in my network who support me. And so it is possible. You don't have to follow the herd, and you don't have to go and live somewhere or base yourself somewhere just because you planted other flags. So I think that's important to realize. It's important to realize that you have permission to do what you want, because I think a lot of people don't feel that permission, at least naturally. They need someone to tell them that they don't have to be like the guy on Instagram, or they don't have to be like the guy who hosts the Digital Nomad Conference. Nomad Capitalist was always different than Digital Nomad, and it doesn't mean one is better than the other. What it means is that Nomad Capitalist is for globally mobile, affluent people who are earning good money and who want the best. And that means making different decisions, and that means not only having the difficulty of being in a community in your own country where you're part of the 1 or 2%, the top 1 or 2%, but then you're the top 1 or 2% of the 1 or 2% because you're traveling around the world. And that can be challenging, but I think it's important to realize that you can create a support system. I've been increasingly working with folks on, in addition to their flag planting, in addition to their business strategies, tax, and all that, how to get that emotional support, because that's just as important. You can have the second passport, you can have the tax strategy, but if you live a life that's not enjoyable, then it's not really going to work. And I think that that's what a lot of people out there in the marketplace miss these days. And it's one of the things that I've really worked on for myself in recent years, so that I can walk other people through that process, because I think it's very important. If you want to find out more about the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle, subscribe here on YouTube. And if you want to learn more about some of our more advanced strategies, you just go to nomadcapitalist.com.